And welcome back again. Here we are with a recap of what was a fantastic NCAA regional weekend. We also had some incredible time with the Division Two and Division Three championships, um, but we're going to focus here on Division One, which we got a lot of really good treats given to us. Again, it is a regional competition where you only are qualifying. There is no official regional champion like there had been in years past when it used to be four regions. It is just simply a qualifying meet. And even though it was just simply a qualifying meet, we recognize that the qualifying standards to get to the national meet this year were extremely tough. I mean, you're looking at some of these fields and they're insanely deep, where your guess is as good as mine. Granted, in some of them there's some overwhelming favorites, but even then, are they really though? The amount of people that will be competing at the NCAA championships that have already met an Olympic standard is very high. So this should be a one of a kind NCAA championship. It's always a big deal when it's an Olympic year. And I don't know if this may be the best year that we've had as far as how many have qualified for the Olympics already and the amazing talent that we've seen. But there were nine number one performances, and we'll talk about that. And our four leg presentation, as I've been doing pretty much from the beginning. Our first leg, we're going to focus on the number one performances. Our second leg, we'll focus on those that are noted non-qualifiers, which, some shocking names there, but that should just, alleviate and emphasize how strong these fields are. Our third leg will be the deepest quality fields. What five events of each gender do I think that we saw where the talent is just so overwhelming? And our anchor leg will be the team title battle. Like I had said in the preview, after this regional competition, we'll see how that shapes up. Because who you qualify and where they qualified at and how many you qualified really does matter. Every point counts at the NCAA championship meet because it can be one point that determines who wins the national title. And we've seen it before. And so, getting things started off, we'll look at the number one performances. On the men's side, it's really one that split into two. We had our top win legal time ran by Favor Ash of Auburn, 9:94. He tied Tamaris McCullum's mark. It did look at the end of that, if you've seen videos going around on social media, that it looked like he may have grabbed Hampshire or he may have just been slapping it. My hope is that he's not injured, not only for, obviously the NCAA championships, but I think Team Nigeria has one of the best shots at getting a medal in the 4x1. I mean, they have so much young talent. Their future is very bright as a country. And then you have the best wind aided time, which was barely wind aided though. Louis Hinchcliffe of Houston, 9:84. And he's really kind of taken the shine away from Sean Mastrogagne, who's of South Africa. Louis Hinchcliffe, who's of Great Britain. And all of a sudden, Great Britain's got some more really good sprinters. I mean, the Olympic trials for these countries are going to be revealing a lot. I think that we're moving away from what we've been used to, because a lot of the athletes that have been big names have been big names for a while. For a lot of these countries, not just America, but for Great Britain, for Jamaica, for the Bahamas, France, Japan. I mean, it's going to be a very different group. I think this is sort of the new group that's going to take over, and we'll see them in 2024 and in 2028. But Louis Hinchcliffe is a name we can't ignore. And then our thrower, Chinichiram Prosper Namdi of Baylor. We have not mentioned his name since last year. It's been a while, but here he is taking over the NCAA lead in the javelin, 270 feet, 9 inches, 82.54 meters. A new leader in the javelin for the men's competition and huge for Baylor. And they're having a pretty solid year. I don't think they're competing for a national title, but I think Coach Ford is moving Baylor to a championship level brand because they're not just a 400 school. They're not just a short sprint school. They're great at the hurdles. They're very good at jumps, as we've been seeing in the past couple of years. They've actually been pretty solid at distance runners. We're waiting to see the men kind of catch up to where the women have been because the women have produced some really great 800 runners. It's waiting for the men to get back to that because under the days of Coach Clyde Hart, they had great 800 runners who could also run the quarter as well. It was all about having that great 4x4. and they did qualify. This is not one of their best 4x4s, certainly not the team that they had last year. But, Baylor, things are looking up. And then our last number one on the men's side, we'll go to Johnny Brackens of USC in the long jump. Granted, Wayne Pinnock still has the top mark, but Wayne Pinnock's mark is wind aided. Johnny Brackens has the number one collegiate length for a non wind aided mark at 26 feet, 9 inches, 8.15 meters. However, I'm still going to say it. I think Wayne Pinnock is the favorite going in to the championship meet, even though Johnny Brackens did technically earn the top qualifying mark. Again, there's no regional champion, it's just qualifying advance. On the women's side, we were treated to what's been a theme. Another NCAA record, and Jada Ross already broke the record in the women's shot early this outdoor season. Here she is again, the first collegiate woman over 20 meters, 65 feet, 7 3/4 inch, 20.01 meters of Oregon, the new NCAA record holder in the shot put. And I think this is the first time where I'm pretty confident in saying someone has knocked Maya Lesnar out of the favorite box. I didn't even give Jada Ross this credit when she broke the national record early in the season because I still was like, it's Maya Lesnar, it's Maya Lesnar, it's Maya Lesnar. And actually, no, it's Jada Ross. Maya Lesnar had a great indoor season, but Jada Ross is having a phenomenal outdoor season. And being the first woman over 20 meters in NCAA history, you definitely have to earn the favorite moving into championship. And when we do the preview here, you're going to hear me give her more accolades and credit because that's just 65 feet. Like, really? The only thing I could think of was, damn, this is what we can throw. Another big throwing mark came from Alita Van Dalen of Florida. Nice to see the Florida throwers have a phenomenal weekend, specifically the women, and the men were no slouches either. Alita Van Dalen, 214 feet, 1 inch, 65.25 meters. She takes the NCAA lead in the discus. For a while, if we were going to look at what happened at the beginning of the season, one would say she was the favorite going in and kind of lost that. But now I'm still not ready to declare her the favorite. We'll wait to the preview to see how things are looking up, and I'll compare the full season. But she's definitely kind of looking like she's in the driver's seat. Just saying. Shantae Foreman, who I had the pleasure of seeing in person at the ACC Championships. Shantae Foreman of Clemson, she's a really tall, great jumper, but specifically in the triple jump, and she proved it this weekend. 45 feet, 9 1/4 inches, 13.95 meters. Just another talented jumper for Jamaica. And when I say she can really jump and she has the legs that make you go, you probably have a high 46 in you, maybe even a low 47. Let's just give you more time to develop. But when I say she's a talented jumper and just great at getting the crowd into it, Shantae Foreman definitely is that. It was a pleasure seeing her in person because she was fantastic. And she competes and she's willing to listen to coaching, which is always key, specifically in this level where your development is so critical. But let's keep an eye out for her because she did take the top mark from Akeelia Smith. Who'd have thought the top two triple jumpers in the NCAA right now are both from Jamaica? Then Maya Ramsden. I don't think I've had very many videos without mentioning her. Maya Ramsden, 405.65 in the 1500. She's so far ahead right now of the rest of the field as a 1500 runner. And I'm 100% positive we're going to be seeing her in Paris. This young woman really is, I think, on the cusp of potentially not only doing an all-time mark, but possibly breaking the NCAA record. I know that's like, oh my God. But no, she's having a phenomenal season. And I don't think enough in the track and field world really kind of give her credit. She's, seems quite sitting and she's at Harvard. She's not at Oregon or Washington or Oklahoma State or Duke. She's at Harvard, the academic elite institution of this country. However, if you look at the qualifying list, Harvard did better than a lot of those big name programs getting their kids to the national meet, and they put up some great performances and marks. And Maya Ramsden is pretty much going to go down probably until we see another one like her as their best distance runner ever. Then we have Rachel Glenn in the 400 hurdles. Let's not forget, Rachel Glenn was a big time low hurdler coming out of Long Beach Wilson, along with being a great high jumper. She went to South Carolina to be coached under Curtis Fry, who's been phenomenal at developing 400 hurdlers. Outside of LaShinda Demas, Tiffany Ross Williams, and Siobhan Stoddard, he had a great group for a very long time. We thought she was going to be the next in that. It didn't kind of happen that way, but coming to Arkansas, which has really kind of cemented themselves as the best 400 program in the NCAA, and they've been proving it heavily. And here's a really talented high jumper that, oh, by the way, can run the 400 open and the low hurdles very well. After that, that fall, and I thought looked like almost like an injury in the 400 hurdles, she really kept herself composed at the regional meet. 53.94, she is the new national leader. Not going to declare her full favorite over Jasmine Jones, but we are going to acknowledge that she has been having a great season as a low hurdler. And then Arkansas. Finally, we saw the Elite 18, and they cruised an NCAA record. I'm going to repeat, they cruised that NCAA record. 321.92. And I've said on this channel before, I think this group is capable of running sub 319. And I was proven right because every split was significantly slower than what they are capable of running open, and they still broke the national record. I think when it comes to the NCAA championships, if there are no injuries, we're looking at a team that'll run 318. That is just simply remarkable. We'll have our first collegiate team under 320, but we also need to recognize what that means. 320 for the women's in 4x4 is not a very common number. There's very few countries that could run that. The United States, an A-level Jamaica team. Then you have Great Britain that's potentially possible. Not sure right now, but they've had it in the past. Russia. I mean, it's a very small group that can do sub 320. And the fact that we may have a collegiate team that not only goes sub 320 but goes sub 319 is simply remarkable and something we need to keep an eye on. I am truly hoping that barring there's no major health issues, no injuries, but that we are truly treated to what I think will be a remarkable 4x4 performance by them come NCAA championship time. And if not, that'll be a true travesty to have the best collection of quarter milers we've ever seen in a year of just great 400 times, specifically on the women's side. For us to be robbed of that would just really be, hard to deal with. I really would like to see a sub 319, sub 320, whatever we get out of them, I think it will be fantastic. And now moving to our second leg, the noted non-qualifiers. And I'm not going to include pictures of them here for obvious reasons. I'm not trying to be harmful or embarrass those athletes, but, just enjoy the NCAA pictures as you see them. It is difficult to get some, but let's just enjoy them. But on the men's side, I think the biggest shocker for me first is I want to look at the 4x1 relays. Florida State, Arkansas, and Arizona State did not qualify. I've seen Arizona State in person when I was at the Penn Relays, and it was clear to me then that their handoffs need a little bit of work. And then I saw them at the Pac-12, and I'm convinced that that quartet needed to probably be changed. I don't think that relay order worked, and I don't think they ever found a relay order that could work. I was really rooting for them. There is an EMU Eagle who transferred to Arizona State, Caleb Simpson, and it just didn't. He didn't qualify in any individual, and even though he ran a 10:07 in the 100, that's how deep the 100 is, by the way. It's disappointing to see Arizona State, which had such a phenomenal indoor season that looked to be, along with Texas Tech, the new sprint kings on the market, and they're not as of yet. I think they're still in development, trying to get there. They're where Florida was, in the late early 2000s. I'll say between like 2006 and 2010, where Florida was really trying to redefine themselves as a sprint program. I think another big school that didn't qualify in the 4x1 was Arkansas. And I really think that hurts their team title hopes, and I'm going to reflect that when I talk about the team title battle. And Florida State, not only do they not qualify the 4x1, but they have no one qualified in the 100 or 200. How disappointing is that, and how shocking is that? Florida State, from 2004 till now, for like a 20-year reign, has produced countless 100-meter sprinters. And I mean several several champions, and a meet record. I mean, it's just been synonymous that Florida State is a great school for 100-meter development. And to not, it looked early in this indoor season like they had a bevy of them again. Not only did that not come to fruition, they don't even have anyone going to the championship meet. And then their 4x1 did not qualify. Poor exchanges. And you can see some of that questionable exchange in the video that I've shared on this channel that I recorded of them winning the ACC title. They ran a 39:49. They won, yes, but that wasn't an eye-popping time, especially in a year where you got high schoolers running faster than that. I mean, humble Adecosia of Houston, 38.9, and then they ran a 39.1, and then you've got American Heritage running a 39.3. You got Duncanville running a 39.4. Those three schools rather, have all ran better than what Florida State had ran at the ACC championships with shaky handoffs. And handoffs are very important, but Florida State, not only in the men's side in the 4x1, but also in the women's side, neither are going to the national meet. And that's a little disappointing. Caleb Dean of Texas Tech in the 110 high hurdles, that really hurt Texas Tech. I mean, he's better as a low hurdler, but his speed tells me there is so much untapped talent in this young man. I mean, I think he's got 10-1 or 10-0 100-meter speed, which tells me he's a low 44, possibly even a high 43 open 400 runner, which tells me there's a low 47 in those legs with just the right coaching. I think he's going to get there. I think on the professional circuit, he's going to get up there with the Ry Benjamins of the world. There's no doubt in my mind, but it was disappointing to see him not qualify in the high hurdles. I get it, the 400 hurdles is his better event, but with all that speed and that development that's going on at Texas Tech, for him to not qualify, and that's going to hurt their team title hopes. Another big name in the hurdles that didn't qualify was Connor Schulman of Texas A&M. He's been one of their best hurdlers all year, and that also hurt their team title hopes because they were expecting to qualify a lot more men. And I said this, in the preview, they to me were outside, really looking in from the second spot to possibly being the favorite to win the national title. And that changes because they just didn't qualify enough guys. And this was one of those events where I think they were really counting on points from him to qualify. Another big name that we didn't see, Chikna Traore of Penn State in the 100. He did qualify in the 200, did run a 19.9, but his 100 was shaky. And Javante Harding of Tennessee, might have the mighty have fallen. He was an NCAA champion indoors, beat Matthew Bowling. We thought he was the next guy, and he's not been at that level since that championship. And he didn't look awful. It's just it seems to be lacking that burst he had when he won the NCAA title. And that's a little disappointing that he didn't qualify for either event. Genoa McIver of Florida, I really expected for him to have a breakout outdoor season. His season was really up and down. It looked to me in that 4x4 that he looked laboring, and I'm like, I wonder if he's injured. I think that may actually be the case. But he's had an up and down disappointing season, I think. He's been great on the relay for the most part, but individually he's not been consistent. And I thought this was going to be the meet where he really stepped up. And also from Florida, Caleb Foster in the long jump. So Florida had two really big guys that didn't qualify, and they still had the second most qualifying athletes, which says how good that team really could have been had things fallen in their favor. On the women's side, the 4x1 relays, you're looking at Tennessee, Florida State, and Florida. Tennessee is our number one team nationally. And it was curious to see where they stand, especially with Jason Sears dealing with the injury, who did not compete. And they, on the second exchange, out of the zone. And you see it on the video, and it's disappointing and disheartening because I literally thought they were an easy favorite to win. In Florida State, I mean, with Deja DeFran running a 10.9, you just thought they were going to really, lit it on the fire. But even looking at that ACC championship video I posted, they did not get the baton around with, which is why Duke won. But neither of Duke or Florida State is going to the championship. In Florida, that's just disappointing because their team title hopes were already very thin, and I think they took a major hit because they were hoping to score some points out of this group. And their sprint group this year just has not lived up to the hype. have admitted on this channel, I'm a big fan of Florida, but this was a very disappointing season for the women's sprinters. Nothing in the 100, 200, or 400. And it had it not been for Grace Stark, man, this would have been an even more disappointing season. I was really hoping to see their 4x1 qualify because they're a strong group, and this is the best 4x1 they've put together in quite a while. Then individually, you're looking at Centria James of South Carolina in the 100. I really thought we would see her. She's run 11:01, and I was thinking, internally, ultimately a matter of time, with Coach Hall's coaching, she'll be a 10-9 athlete. And that didn't happen. So, there's some disappointment there. And then we look at Chastity Pickett of Campbell in the 400 hurdles. She at one point was number one in the nation, and now we're looking at her not even going. You have Kavana Davis of Texas in the 200, and she's had to deal with a lot of criticism online from Jamaican fans who really wanted to see her step it up. What Brianna Liston is doing is what many thought Kavana Davis was going to do. And after last year, I thought she was ready to be there. And here she is not going to the meet individually. She'll be a part of that 4x1, but hopefully she can rebound at the Jamaican trials because, you know, I really think that's a very talented young woman, and I want to see her compete at the next level. And another shock that I was, a little disappointed in the distance, Maddie Elmore of Oregon not running the 5K. And she's like one of the top 5K runners, and I get it. It's all about Parker Valby, but come on. Maddie Elmore is a really super talented sophomore, and, I'm a little disappointed we're not going to get to see her. And I think she was such a big name going in, especially for Oregon, and to be competing on her home track to not qualify was a bit like, oh, wow, she's not going to compete? Wow. Now, moving to our third leg, which is our deepest qualifying fields. And these are my opinions, as always. And I'm sure that you may differ. And I would like to hear it in the feedback in the comments section. Please share. But I think on the men's side, the deepest fields are the 200, the 110 hurdles, the 800, the 1500, and the 4x4 relay. The 200 is probably the deepest I've ever seen. I've never seen that many guys be under 20 seconds. I think there's about 5 or 6. I think when all of it ends, we'll look at the top 8 times in the NCAA possibly being all guys under 20 seconds. Who would have thought we were at that point where all the elite sprinters in the NCAA are all under 20 seconds? And I could have put the 100 here because, again, this is the deepest 100-meter field we've ever seen. 10:07 did not qualify out of the West region. I need to make that very clear of how deep that 100 field, but I think the 200 field was even more crazy. The 110 hurdles, Jacoby Thorpe has looked great, but I think we can't ignore Davion Wilson of Houston. And I think a name that we also didn't mention, because Jacoby Thorpe is a really great freshman, Malachi Snow of San Jose State is a fantastic freshman because speed-wise, he's faster than all of them. That young man runs a 10 flat 100. He has qualified for the 100 open and the high hurdles. I think if he can get that technique matching with, because 10 flat speed is a sub 13 high hurdler. I think there's the potential for a major upset with just technique being sharpened there at San Jose State. And I'm pretty sure his coach is preaching that to him. Jacoby Thorpe been the guy, and 13.24 this weekend looked so easy to him. I was watching the video like, are you serious? I remember watching the live feed thinking, that looks very smooth. And then saw the time like, what? Did he just almost chill at 13.24? Yeah, he kind of did. So, the young guys are just really on a whole different level this year. Like, man, these freshmen are killing it. The 800, the West region was crazy, and so was the East. But the amount of talent, the amount of guys that can run a sub 147. I mean, I think it's almost the entire field has a PR of that. Like 147 is not good enough anymore? What type of world are we living in, bro? 147 in the 800, it's not even really quality anymore. Jeez, that is a deep field in the 800. And whoever the 800 champion is, we need to start looking at them come Paris, because I'm sure they're going to be in the thick of it. 1500 is a deep field, and I know that conventional wisdom says lean on the Washington guys, but I don't know. I do not know. I think Ethan Strand of North Carolina is really talented. There's just so many great 1500 runners this year, and it just, what do you do? You know, you got Nathan Green, you got Colin Salmon of Northern Arizona. It it's gonna be tough. I really do think that this is a wide open field. I don't think there's any obvious favorite. I don't care if anyone's coming back as a champion of anything. This is a wide open field. It's pretty much go for what you know. And the other is the 4x4. We already retreated to an excellent 4x4 race at the SEC Championships where there were three teams under 3 minutes. I think there will be five teams come the NCAA meet. I think there will be five teams under 3 minutes. Um, the 4x4 the past few years has been going through a constant record change and shift, with Florida dropping that 257 last year. I don't know if anyone's going to run a 257 this year, but I think a 258 is likely. This is the standard now. You must be a sub 301 team to be serious in the 4x4. It's that level. No longer is that even going to be acceptable for a 302, 303 team to really consider themselves a challenge. Because they're not. On the women's side, the 100 is deep. The 100 is deep, 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 deep. Brianna Liston, and this is with Jason Sears gone. You got Brianna Liston of LSU, Kayla Jackson of Georgia, Deja DeFriend of Florida State. You have Jaden Mays of Oregon, and then you have Rosemary Chukuma of Texas Tech, who ran that 10.88, and hers was win legal. Throw that out there. 10.88 win legal. I mean, we're looking at the whole field going to be sub 11. It's going to be a sub 11 100 meter dash at the NCAA championships, barring any poor weather. But, woo, it's just not a talented deep field. And as great as Brianna Liston has been running, I'm curious to see what she does against Jaden Mays and Rosemary. I don't think she blows the door off, though. Specifically not Jaden Mays. Jaden Mays looks solid. Her technique, that upper body movement, just moving perfect. Man, Oregon is really good at developing those 100-meter runners. Shout out to Coach Curtis, doing a great job. Then the 400, it's Arkansas and kind of everybody else, because Arkansas, I think, got four. Oh, my God. They won every heat at the West region. Every heat to qualify. And one heat, they had like 3 or 4 runners. I mean, just insane quality and development. And to think that's without Rachel Glenn running the open 4, or without Shanti Jackson, who I think is going to be a great 100-meter sprinter for them. Sad to see that she was injured, because this was a rough year for freshmen. But some of them, specifically in the hurdles, stepped up. But in other individual events, that didn't happen. Some of those freshmen got had to learn a tough lesson. Then the shot put. I mean, we have Jada Ross, Maya Lesner, Jelani Davis, Alita Von Dalen, and a host of other very talented throwers. I think because Jada Ross will be on her home field, and because of the level of competition, I think it will take another NCAA record to win. And to be fair, those other names that I mentioned, Maya Lesner, Alita Van Dalen, Jelani Davis of Ole Miss, they can all push her to that or even get there themselves and surpass her. This will be a great shot put competition. If you are a fan of throws, you cannot ignore this. This is a lot of talent competing that are high level performers, because all of them are capable of winning a national title. Literally all 4 of those names. So that'll be a great event. The 1500, it's a deep field, and I put it here because it is a deep field, but I think it's Maya Ramsden's race to lose. Flomena Asco of Florida is going to do well. I think she's the only person capable of really, really challenging. I'm aware of May at Providence. I think she's going to do good too, but I think it's really Maya Ramsden versus Flomena, but a host of other really great 1500-meter runners. This is a very deep race, and I think it's going to be that way for a while. It seems that the 1500 is ready to make another transition. where it's even more competitive than it has been in years past because of the quality that's coming in. And then, even with the disqualifications, the women's 4x1 is going to be tight because of that disqualification from Tennessee. I mean, you're going to have LSU, you're going to have South Carolina, you're going to have USC, which, shocks some because that's a strong group. And then, I think Texas is going to get their handoffs together. They are lacking the depth that they've had last year, but they're building and they're headed in the right direction. And then let's not forget Arkansas or Baylor. What? It's going to be a great 4x1. Now, moving to our anchor leg, which is our team title battle, I have 3 teams for the men. I have listed Arkansas, Texas, and Florida. And then for the women, I have LSU, Arkansas, and Florida. Florida's still there, although I'm not as confident as I was when I first initially made this midpoint of the regional weekend. This was the first kind of list I was put together. And I thought, okay, things are looking well. And then, the disqualification in 4x1, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, you have Texas men, they have 17 qualified. Florida has 14 and Arkansas has 13. But let's not ignore Southern Cal, they got 13 too. But I think Texas, Florida, Arkansas have bigger guns. On the women's side, LSU has 22. Yeah, you heard me correct. 22. Arkansas has 18 and Texas has 15. Look at that. Texas in the top 3, even in a year where they're clearly rebuilding. And Florida way down there in 12, but they are one of the top teams. Now, to note, there are some teams that are really qualifying a lot in one event. You look at LSU women. They have 3 women that have qualified in the 100, and they have 4 that have qualified in the 200. And then you've got Florida State men, which has kind of taken away the jumps U title from Florida. They have 3 qualified in long jump. And then Nebraska, again, that field school, that school that teaches everything in track and field, technically, soundly, very well. They got 4 in the javelin. How about that? And of course, Arkansas 4 in the 400. And Tennessee 3 in the 400 hurdles. I mean, come on, Coach Ross. The Olympic 110 high hurdler, really showing that he knows what he's doing. And Alabama 2, 3 in the 400 hurdles. And Texas Tech in the women's triple jump, 3 there. And South Carolina 3 in the 200. We see you, Coach Tim Hall, really doing it. The team title battle, I think, will really come down on the women's side between LSU and Arkansas. I think third is kind of up. But on the men's side, I think Arkansas, Texas, and Florida. And I really think it'll be between Arkansas and Florida. Texas has the most entrants, and they have a national title under Coach Florio as an indoor title. But I think the guns at Florida and Arkansas are a little bigger. However, we can't ignore the fact that Texas has 17 entrants. So they are in the discussion, but I think when it comes to who gets to the finals and scores, I think it'll be between Arkansas and Florida. So that's where we stand. It was a great weekend. Remember, this was not a regional championship. It was a regional qualifying meet. So some of those races were the actual first round preliminary rounds, and some of those were the actual semifinals, like the 5K and the 10K. Those who qualify will only run the 5 and 10K once at the national meet, which is great. And we're going to see some great performances. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be at one of the greatest stadiums in the world, University of Oregon. Hope to get there soon to cover that meet. I hope this channel just, explodes, and this is all I'm doing. I look forward to that. But thank you, as always, for your support. Please like, subscribe, share, and any comment or feedback that you provide, I appreciate. And please enjoy this video of the men's 100 at the West Region, where we see both Louis Hinchcliffe of Houston and Sean Maswaganye of Houston in that 100, where they both ran the 9.8 and shocked everyone. But thanks again, and speak to you real soon. Thank you.